Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm Josh Guesman along with Cory Ritzau, and on today's show we're going to go over the excruciatingly painful Montreal game. We're going to look at it from every angle to decide what, if anything, needs to be done. Is there a goalkeeper mix-up in the works? Who knows? Plus, we'll get you updated on your LA Galaxy news, including rumors, injuries, luxury houses, cars, trophies, and more. Finally, we're taking a look ahead to Thursday as the LA Galaxy will host Sporting KC at StubHub Center on Throwback Night. As always, you're listening to Corner of the Galaxy, your one-stop shop for 100% LA Galaxy talk. Let's get this show going. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Now here are your hosts, Josh Guesman and Cory Ritzau. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Josh Guesman, Mr. Cory Ritzau with you. We're excited to be here, maybe under some better circumstances as the LA Galaxy fell 3-2 to the Montreal Impact. We have a bunch to talk about with that. We're going to talk about the LA Galaxy and what's going on in all the news and the rumors and all sorts of fun stuff that's there with that as well. So we have that coming up. And then, of course, we're looking at Sporting Kansas City coming up in just a little bit. But, Cory, I think we should start at the very beginning, which is I should at least say hi to you.
Well, hello. It's been a couple weeks except for my my cameo call-in.
Yeah, I was going to say, you forced your way into a show last time, so I felt almost obligated to have you on this one.
Wow, thank you so much. I feel so welcome.
Very good. Let's see. Lots of fun stuff happening with the LA Galaxy, and by fun, Cory, of course, I mean excruciatingly painful, as I said in the intro. The LA Galaxy fall 3-2 to the Montreal Impact. It was a game that probably deserved a 2-2 draw. The LA Galaxy basically played like crap for 90 minutes, and then Brian Rowe let a ball go through his hands to let Didier Drogba score the game winner in the 95th minute, 90 plus 5, 90 plus 4, somewhere in there. Right along that. Right along that.
You need to lay down on the crooked couch. Let me kind of talk you off the ledge a little bit.
Yeah, this is the thing. Is that, and I wrote a game recap, and if you want to go ahead to cornerofthegalaxy.com, you can read it. And I had I guess a little bit of a mindset, Cory, to not write it the night before, the night as it happened, because I think I was too angry. And so I wanted to calm down a little bit and write it. So I wrote it the next morning, and I think I got everybody's frustrations within that whole game. And if you're trying to tell me that it wasn't 100% Brian Rowe's fault that the LA Galaxy lost out on a point in that game, then I'm going to smack you on the backside of the head and say, listen, you're trying to play favorites here for whatever reason. It's 100% Brian Rowe's fault that the LA Galaxy lost a point. Now, having said that, it is the rest of the other 10, 11 players who actually played in this game's fault that they didn't run away with 3 points in this game against a totally undermanned Montreal team that looked like they were going to fall apart at the seams in the first 10 minutes.
You had them on the ropes. You know, you got an early goal, but you couldn't quite knock them out. And then, of course, they get the ridiculous counterattack goal, which just, looked like a comedy of errors on a number of players' positions to allow that. What was it, like a 3 or 4 pass counterattack from box to box? It was pretty comical.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Montreal's game plan. I mean, looking back on it in the hindsight, this is clearly what their game plan was. But it seemed pretty obvious from the very beginning, Cory, that their game plan was to let the LA Galaxy attack. If you look at the possession in this game, it's like 60-40 LA Galaxy over Montreal at Montreal you're at somebody's house and you have 60% possession. So it seemed like Montreal wanted LA to have that possession, and then they wanted LA to overcommit offensively against players who they knew weren't fast enough to get back on the counterattack. And you saw it in the first Montreal goal that it was like, oh yeah, you guys want to catch it. Robbie Rogers, you want to get all the way forward like that? Great. We're going to make sure that the only person back is Jelle Van Damme, and you're going to have Steven Gerrard, Nigel de Jong, and Ashley Cole chasing after you. It's like, I don't know that really you could find too many slower people on the LA Galaxy to be chasing a game. And that's exactly what happened.
I think once they missed on the first turn, was it by Drogba made a nice turn on the sideline?
Yeah.
And then as soon as he made that nice turn, now you're playing 3-on-4, or you're just behind. So because you overcommit to Drogba in trying to make that tackle and pin them in their own end, you risk exposing yourself significantly on the backside.
And we should say that we magically lock Cory inside a room that only echoes, so he's in a panic room all by himself, which is why he has the nice echo going on there for a little bit. So we'll see if maybe we can get that fixed as we go on.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
I know you are. So,
I got the vacuum cleaner going on outside my office right now, even better.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need. Only 100% professional here at Corner of the Galaxy. That's how we roll. So anyway, I mean, that's what I'm sitting there looking at, is that you look at this game and you look what the LA Galaxy had to play with Sebastian Lletget. I thought, somebody said, hey, the Galaxy didn't play that bad. And I said, pick 3 good players that you saw on the night, right? Mm-hmm. And I can get to 2. I can get to 2 players, but after 2, I have a difficulty finding a third player that played well on the night. And you can't be satisfied with performance from the LA Galaxy if you can't at least get to 3 players.
Well, just watch the touch of Mike Magee on a loop. That might be the only thing that gets you excited.
That was pure sexiness. Obviously, Mike Magee's second goal, which came right after Ashley Cole got humiliated inside the box by Ontivero. Is that who it was? Yeah, by Ontivero. Yes. Lucas Ontivero got the ball inside the box and then tried to backheel, but actually got the ball stuck under his feet, and so that didn't happen.
I pulled that move before.
Yeah, who hasn't? And then you had Ashley Cole playing defense on him again. Ashley Cole has been one of the most solid defenders the LA Galaxy have had all year, and he was not good in this game. I think Robbie Rogers, for as much as he went forward and everybody was praising his ability forward, is that you have to remember his first job is to be a defender, and he was atrocious on the night.
Well, Piatti's not going to help out on defense at all. So he was going to have plenty of space on that end.
And they did, and they invited Rogers and Lletget up that right-hand side over and over and over again, and, besides that first goal, Lletget really didn't make him pay for it all that much. It was just one of those things. They kept finding space. There was room over there on the right-hand side. And those two, regardless of what you think about Sebastian Lletget, listen, I think Lletget is one of the most technical players the LA Galaxy have, and he is able to create things with his dribbling. I'm okay with that. The problem is that his holding of the ball and his technical ability seems to have transferred over to Robbie Rogers, who thinks he also should step in or cut out of every single pass or tack that he wants to make instead of putting the ball in early. I thought Rogers was ineffective going forward on offense, and I thought he was atrocious on defense, especially knowing that he was one of the fastest guys on the team. He was going to have to be one of the guys who cuts back on the counterattack, quite honestly.
So was AJ a coach's decision, or
Yes.
or where was it? Is this the choice backline these days?
This is the choice backline. There's nothing wrong with AJ De La Garza, and despite what anybody will tell you, Bruce Arena has decided that his best back 4 includes Robbie Rogers, Daniel Steres, Jelle Van Damme, and Ashley Cole. I thought Steres was another person who didn't have a particularly good night, and that doesn't even count the foul at the end, which I don't blame him for. Maybe I'm the only one who doesn't blame him for. Maybe it's because I used to be a central defender, and I've been left on an island in the 93rd, 94th minute, and I'm like, oh my God. Everybody wants to talk about that. I think that's where we should focus just a little bit, is in the 94th minute.
So let's do that. So let's first talk about the foul. There seems to be a way in which you can cede possession, try and slow up the runner a little bit in a manner that allows your defense to regain shape and recover without overcommitting and committing a foul in the way that he did.
See, and this is my take on it, is that everybody got caught forward again. which was the theme on the night, quite honestly. Steven Gerrard started this whole debacle. It's the 94th minute, basically, or 93rd minute, and Steven Gerrard tries to thread a pass through the center of the offensive zone, and it gets cut out. I mean, it was I said, I think in my article, I said it was hopeful at best and maybe malicious at worst. It was horrible. It was not a good pass. There was no way that particular pass was going to win a game or do anything.
So were you okay with him? I mean, it's easy. Hindsight is 20/20, but did you want him to pull it back and play for 1 point?
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, yes. Because you're trying to attack through the center. It's one thing if you're going to attack down the side, Cory, and you saying, hey, I'm going to take this ball out wide, and then, oh, you know what? There really is a chance here. We might be able to score. But he was, Montreal was playing a ton of players back. Everybody was back behind the ball. The Galaxy weren't catching anybody off at this point. There was no surprise here. You have literally 30 seconds, 40 seconds left in the game. It's one of those, you don't force a ball down the middle. You have to force it out wide, and then you let your out wide runners either take it to the corner.
Lump it in over the top.
Or you take it to the corner and you kill it off. You do something like that. You don't play the ball through the middle, and Steven Gerrard should know better. And the fact was that everybody was caught so far forward on it again that there was nobody back at defense. The only people back for defense were Jelle Van Damme and Daniel Steres, because Robbie Rogers had moved forward on the right-hand side, and you had Ashley Cole forward on the left-hand side, which is what they were doing all night. And so you had Piatti, who was attacking on the left-hand side or towards Daniel Steres, and you had Drogba attacking on the right-hand side, and they had spread the field totally wide. Great job by them. They had spread the field. They're on opposite sides of the 18-yard box. Steres is all alone, and Piatti had burned him, 2 or 3 or 4 times on the night. He had burned Rogers. Piatti's a great player. He has a lot of speed. If Steres doesn't get in front of him, Cory, and doesn't do something, this could very well be a breakaway with Piatti.
A good defender is able to slow him up.
He was never going to get there in time.
What's that?
He was never going to get there in time. That's why. I mean, you saw it. His angle was so shallow. It wasn't a great angle, but you can't blame him as well. It's a quick turnover, and the ball's coming back in the same. Where are you setting up as a defender?
You just take a line to the corner flag so that you get around him without going directly to him.
And I don't know that there was enough time if Steres doesn't take the angle that he does, where Piatti doesn't get around him. And that's what I think.
You think he's that much faster?
Oh, yeah. I saw him run around people all night. I don't think he's the speediest guy on there. Oduro was clearly the speediest guy and caused a whole bunch of problems.
If it's Dominic, just go for the rugby tackle. But
Right. But, I mean, in this particular case, Piatti's smart enough, and people will say that Piatti was smart enough to draw the foul.
Okay, so let's assume it was a smart foul then.
Okay, so it's a smart foul.
So from there on,
36 yards out.
Especially when it's Drogba. Yeah. If it's Drogba, you have to know there's a 70% chance he's going for goal in that instance. I mean, has Brian Rowe watched any European soccer in the last decade?
See, do you think Brian Rowe was fooled? Do you think that he was fooled by that shot? Do you think that there was anything that happened that he said, oh, he's crossing the ball, and that's what made him miss that ball?
No.
No, nobody was fooled by it. I mean, even if he did cross it. See, the thing is, you can always plan for the shot, and whenever it's a cross, the cross doesn't come in as hard as the shot, right? So you have a little bit of time to adjust to the cross.
If there is any knuckle whatsoever in the 94th minute of a tie ball game,
what do?
Close your fists.
Punch that ball, right? There's the problem, because we know Drogba hit it with swerve.
I don't know much about soccer. I'm going to be honest.
Right.
I rarely act like I do.
Right.
I did play goalie at an all-American level through the high school age division.
Okay. So you have
this
something.
is one of the very, 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 very few things on a soccer field that I might have some sense of intelligence in speaking about.
Okay.
As the ball comes in, if you think that it is knuckling in any way, shape, or fashion, if you can't get your full body behind it and catch it at a chest level, then you have to knock it completely out of there. And you have to knock it not only can you just punch it, you punch it at an angle that is away from goal at maybe like a 45-degree angle towards the corner of the box or towards the sideline.
All that stuff is fine. And then, and I agree with you, by the way. That's not me disagreeing with you. All that stuff is fine. The only issue I have is that I don't think he didn't know any of that. I don't think he was fooled by the shot. I think
he was just overconfident?
I think he zoned out. I think he missed it. He took his eye off the ball. We see it in football.
It's the 94th minute.
He zoned out.
All you have to do is fall on the ball and the game is over.
Because literally this is what he did. Is he said, "Oh, it's right at me. I got this." It was expected to be harder. Everybody thought it was going to be harder. As soon as Drogba hit it, I go, oh, it's right at Rowe.
Brian Buckner Rowe.
it's that important of a miss. And again, if you are sitting there and you are telling me that Brian Rowe is not responsible for losing a point for the LA Galaxy, then quite honestly, you need your eyes checked. It was Brian Rowe's fault. It's not Daniel Steres' fault.
But who's saying otherwise?
Oh, there's people. Oh, trust me. It wasn't Brian's fault. It was Daniel Steres for making that foul, that horrible foul. It was a foul 36 yards away from goal, maybe more, maybe closer to 40 yards away from goal.
If you know what's hilarious, he probably could have saved that without any arms.
Yes. Oh, yeah, he could have. If he just would have shifted his body. And again,
and headed it out, he probably could have done the same.
You see it with little kids whenever they're playing catch, like in T-ball and stuff like that. They'll go to catch the ball, and they'll already be thinking about like going to throw it, and it'll bounce off their glove. You know, it was like he was already thinking ahead. Like he was already past the save because clearly the save was going to be made. It was hit right at him.
So what's the next step?
Oh, well, see, here I want to ask you what the next step is.
Bruce, Bruce is going to call one of his friends from New Jersey. I'm a little nervous for Brian, and I'm not sure we're going to see him in the second half of the year.
I said this, and I absolutely 100% meant it whenever I said it. And I still feel this way. If I was Bruce Arena, I was going to tell Brian Rowe he had to find his own way home back to LA from Montreal, because that's so unacceptable. And it's one thing if you are, a young keeper and, you're fighting for a spot, there's going to be some inconsistency and stuff like that. Brian Rowe's 27 now. He's not young anymore, and he is the undisputed number one starter for the LA Galaxy right now.
So does he? Look at his play this year.
Right.
Where would you rank it among MLS starting goalkeepers?
Some of the best in the league, quite honestly. If
you think so? That high?
If you look at his stats, and you can't certainly blame it or give any credence to the defense for saving him, but he was before this game, he was like third in save percentage, or I think he was first in save percentage and third in overall, goals allowed. So, he's...
Yeah, I have to go back and look. I'd say there's 2 or 3 games where, if we're going to use, hockey terminology, where he stood on his head.
Right.
But there's also a few goals in there that A, he could have done better, or B, didn't make anything in terms of, an incredible effort.
No, I agree.
So I would say he's average to below average when you look at some of the goalkeeper play out there.
See, I think that you will find that the stats will tell you a little differently with that stuff. And again, with save percentage, that your defense doesn't help you there. And the LA Galaxy have been giving up a ton of shots and a ton of goals. Most of those I can't blame Brian Rowe for. I can blame this last one on Brian Rowe. You can blame almost 2 goals in the Philadelphia game on Dan Kennedy, and he's played for 20 minutes plus 1 game. So he's played 110 minutes total so far in 2016 for the LA Galaxy.
So the Galaxy have how many starting MLS starting caliber goalkeepers?
How many do they have?
How did I say that right?
I guess. I think you're saying how many goalkeepers do the LA Galaxy have that are starting caliber?
Roster starting spot capabilities. Do they have 1? Do they have 2? Do they have 0?
I think that they have right now I'm going to say 1. I can't give. I from what I've seen from Dan Kennedy in the preseason, and through his game against Philadelphia. Granted, he's a little rusty. I can't. And that's the thing. Everybody who's like, Dan Kennedy should start.
So there's no consequences suffered from Brian Rowe at this point, other than Bruce literally probably threatens to send him home with the fishies if it happens again.
No, I don't think you can. I think the one repercussion you could have, Cory, is that if you take Brian Rowe out now, you may just crush him for the rest of the season. Because there's not anybody in this entire world that doesn't want to have that particular play back. And I think...
You want Jaime Pinedo back?
Lots of people are saying that. Oh, Bruce should have paid Jaime Pinedo. Look how much... He doesn't pay any of his goalkeepers anything. And it's like, you look at Dan Kennedy, he's making...
Hey, Ricketts made some
That's why
quiche last year.
But but the LA Galaxy weren't paying most of that, so who cares, right?
I think Ricketts is one of those players that has something on Bruceby, underneath the counter.
He was great for the LA Galaxy whenever they first acquired
in 2005
him.
or whatever.
2009. In 2009, he was great. The problem was he got too expensive, which is why Bruce dumped him, right? I mean, that's what Bruce doesn't like to spend a whole bunch of money on goalkeepers. I understand that. Dan Kennedy is making 200.
Well, he wasn't worth 200,000 in 2011 when they chose Saunders, but then all of a sudden he's worth 200,000 again in 2015.
Again, not paying the bill. Who cares how much he costs? We're paying the bill.
Who was paying him last year?
I think Portland was paying, and then Orlando was paying. I think that's how it went. It went Portland, Orlando, and they were paying most of the money. So I don't think the LA Galaxy were on the hook for very much last year. Dan Kennedy, his max is at $195 right now. Everybody's like, oh, how can you pay Dan Kennedy $195,000? It's like, well, he was supposed to be the number one keeper. All right, and they're like, how can you only pay Brian Rowe $80,000? Well, he's supposed to be the number two. Would you like to have a number two keeper that was supposed to be getting $190,000? I think that would be bad. But the fact that Brian Rowe is playing so well and the number one keeper and is at $80,000 means he's a steal and that Dan Kennedy is expensive. But if this goes into next year and Dan Kennedy wants to stick around and be Brian Rowe's backup, I have a feeling that flip-flops a whole bunch. I don't think Dan Kennedy is going to be making near as much money as he is. Is it
something where you're scouring the market in summertime for a potential starter?
That's ridiculous. No, I'm fine. Brian Rowe's the guy. Everybody needs to stop complaining. Brian Rowe is the guy. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's really exciting here in this game that we need to pick up.
How many points have Galaxy now dropped after 90 minutes? This is something I should do in preparation for a show, but yeah, that stuff's overrated.
Well, the LA Galaxy, for sure, I can tell you that the LA Galaxy...
The Colorado game was 3... Well, that was...
No,
It was from 1 to 0?
Yeah, it went 1-0.
So that's a point.
And yeah, so no, you were getting 1 point. Yeah, so you dropped 3 points. You still lose it. Listen, all I'm going to tell you is that the LA Galaxy are no more. But
have they picked up any?
No, they haven't.
When's the latest goal in a game that has changed the outcome in points at this point? Because this is something I think that Galaxy fans have been a little spoiled.
I don't think they have
in years past.
I don't think they have. I don't think they've had any late goals.
The latest is like a 70th minute goal or something
that actually changed the outcome. There were goals that were scored that who cared about, some of those. So that was fine.
To make it 5-1 instead of 4-1.
Right, exactly. So that type of thing. I will tell you this: the LA Galaxy are no more, and this is absolutely 100% correct. Are no more than 30 seconds away from being undefeated this year. If you look at the last-minute goal in Colorado and the last-minute goal in Montreal, the LA Galaxy have lost just two games this season. So it's not all like doom and gloom. I don't want everybody to get upset and angry. But
that's a little depressing, though.
It is. I mean, you've looked at it, and granted, they haven't played well in a lot of games, and I think that's the most frustrating thing here. You look at anybody across that. I told you I could get to two players. Nigel de Jong played excellent, in my opinion, and Sebastian Lletget was very good for me. So those are my top two players. After that, I have no idea. You could say Jelle Van Dam.
There's been some poor performances just in general on the road, though. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of write Philadelphia off because you're traveling cross country on a short turnaround or whatnot, but.
Yeah,
at the same time, they weren't particularly sharp this game, but they weren't getting, Montreal wasn't, dominating them in any way, shape, or form either.
It's frustrating to me. You haven't seen a 90-minute performance from this LA Galaxy team, and it's frustrating that they didn't absolutely annihilate Montreal.
Whoa, you haven't seen a 90-minute?
No, not even close. There have been games where they have played and they have scored, and they won 5-2 or 4-2 or stuff like that.
The RSL game was pretty dang complete.
It was no. There were still lapses in that. There were still lapses. That was a game of.
They had like three or four scoring chances before RSL got their early goal, where they should have already been up 3-0.
There was.
Then RSL got their lucky goal, and then they went down and scored 5 more goals in the last half hour. What more do you want?
No, it's still not 90 minutes of solid performance. They let RSL score on a counterattack goal on something that they shouldn't have scored on, but they did. It's that type of thing. You want to see the defense play 90 minutes. I've yet to see this defense play 90 minutes. I've yet to see this whole team play a concerted 90 minutes. I've heard Bruce talk about a good half here and a good half there, or this was our best 60 minutes we've played. All that stuff has happened. I have not seen 90 minutes of concentrated good play. Give me a 1-0 win where the LA Galaxy play for 90 minutes.
You're boring.
And I'll be happy. Boring or not, that's what's going to get them into the playoffs and win. Not get them into the playoffs, but get them through the playoffs to MLS Cup. This crap that they're doing right now, allowing 2 goals on a crappy counterattack where everybody knew that they were caught too far forward, is ridiculous. All right, and Bruce knows it. But then it even gets into more of that. So you're struggling on defense, Cory. The LA Galaxy are having issues keeping the ball out of the back of the net. We know this. They're having defensive issues. So what do? You keep your best defender / second best defender on the bench, and then you complain that your defense isn't good enough. That's That's getting to the point now where
Unless your tactic is just you want to score more goals than the other team.
Great, then do that. Show me how that works.
So be fine with a 5-2 win then.
I'll be happy with a 5-2 win. I'm just saying it's not a 90-minute performance if you're going to allow 2 goals. You're going to have to do everything across it. But I'm happy with a 5-2 win. That's fine. Whenever the LA Galaxy play good, they can score lots of goals. That's great. Wonderful. Happy. Really, really great for that. Let's outshoot everybody. But the problem is they go on the road in a game where all it really needed was some management, and this team couldn't manage it. They couldn't keep the ball. Well, I can't even say that. They kept the ball. They weren't that dangerous.
Is that some De Jong rust, or who are you going to rely on to keep the game?
If De Jong was in the game instead of Steven Gerrard at the end of that game, De Jong doesn't make that pass. I'm telling you that right now. I think Bruce pulled out the wrong person. I would have pulled out Steven Gerrard instead of Nigel De Jong. Nigel De Jong was working harder than everybody. He was playing great defense the whole game. Pull the guy who's not playing so well in the game, Steven Gerrard, and have him sit on the bench and put Baggio Husidic in for him. I don't like that. It baffles me that you pull off somebody like Sebastian Lletget, who was having a great night, and you pull out Nigel De Jong. You take my 2 guys who I said having nights, and they both had early nights.
I think that's hindsight, though.
No,
because
they were having.
If you're going, I think that's a positive move, and that you're going for points. And how long had it been since De Jong had gone 90 minutes?
You're not going for points.
A month?
You're not going for points if you're putting in Baggio Husidic. Come on, that's not the offensive weapon to score you points.
It depends.
No.
Who's more offensive, De Jong or Husidic?
Husidic. But
well,
Nigel De Jong is the one guy who's holding all that defense together right now because everybody's overcommitting.
Would you make that switch if you were down 1-0?
No, I still wouldn't take out Nigel. Nigel do fine. Leave Nigel in there.
Just a sucker because he gave you a good interview right before he split someone's leg in half.
He didn't, and Nagby's fine, by the way. He was already injured. Long. We can stop worrying about that. But anyway, all right. What we need to do is we need to go ahead and take a break. We still have a lot to talk about. You could tell I'm still fired up. So we have
I guess so.
We have a bunch still to get to.
I think they're gonna let me out of the closet for the next segment too. So
all right, good. We'll switch it up whenever that happens. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break. Whenever we get back, we got LA Galaxy news, some fun stuff in there. We're going to talk a little LA Galaxy 2 as well, and then we're going to get you ready for Sporting Kansas City on Thursday. I can already tell it's going to be a long show. Buckle up. Here we go. We'll be right back. Stand by. We're coming back here in just a minute. Cory Ritzau is changing seats as we speak, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll for the second segment. I appreciate everybody hanging in there and hanging out. Just about one more minute here as we get everything settled back down and ready for the second segment. Cory's switching seats and trying to get his microphone to work, so just some technical fun stuff. But we'll be right back here in just about 1 minute, and we'll be ready to rock and roll and continue on with the show. Thanks so much. All right, getting ready to go back live here again. We may have to start without Cory. That's okay. I'll come back and talk to you guys.
Ready for some more Corner of the Galaxy? Don't forget to head over to the website for all the latest podcasts, news, and more. Visit us online at cornerofthegalaxy.com.
Hey, this is Chris.
This is Eddie. This is Jason.
And we're from Back Pocket Memory, and you're listening to Corner of the Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Josh Guesman, Mr. Cory Ritzau back with you. Still fired up. Still angry. Still ready to yell at anybody who wants me to yell at them, quite honestly, Cory. I'll yell at you, too.
Bring it on.
All right, cool. We'll do it. Let's go to some calls. That's what I want to do. I want to do stuff like that. In fact, I wanted to do it so much so that I cut off the music whenever I did it. So that's how excited I am to be able to do...
I'll yell at our callers?
To yell at our callers. Well, first of all, that's right. We've got an alert. We got people who are angry on the phone, Cory. There are people who are upset, and they want to vent, and they called the Corner of the Galaxy hotline because of it. So I decided to find my sub-alarm because that's the coolest thing I can think of to do. So let's go to our...
That would be the worst way to wake up in the morning.
It wouldn't be nice. It wouldn't be nice. I can tell that. Let's go to Brian in Hawaii first, and we'll get his thoughts on the game.
Hey Josh, this is Brian in Hawaii. Obviously, a lot of the comments are going to be about Brian Rowe and his little mishap at the very end of the match there, but it happens, right? But I think the one thing that killed the Galaxy is I think they went in there trying to play for the tie. I didn't think they were going out there overly aggressive or even mildly aggressive. I don't think personally. The good example of that one is you had Leggett, who played phenomenally this entire match. I mean, well, his time in the match, it was great. But so many times he had Rogers right there with him. Rogers had wide open green in front of him, no defenders, nothing but space, plenty of opportunity for a through ball with a combination run. Absolutely nothing happened. They played very slow. They played without intent, in my personal belief. And I think they could have went in there and played a bit more aggressively. And I think that's the one thing LA's been lacking on the road recently is aggression. And hopefully it comes back.
There we go. There we go. Brian in Hawaii dropping knowledge is what he's saying. He's saying the Galaxy lacked intent, Cory.
You wanted them to go for the point.
I didn't want them to go for the point. I wanted them to go for 3 points. They put themselves in a position to get a point.
Whoa. Time out.
Yep, go ahead. Let's fight this one out. I'm happy to do this.
You're yelling at Steven
Bruce?
Gerrard for trying to play some incisive soccer and get through the middle, although, ineffective.
Yep. Yes.
But you would have rather him pulled it back, or I believe I heard something about go to the corner flag earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they had 94 freaking minutes to score and outrun Montreal, who was not good. Cory, Montreal was missing 5 potential starters on the night. 5 potential. They had a rookie playing in the back. The way that Montreal looked in the first 10 minutes is how the LA Galaxy should have kept them for at least 70 minutes. But nope, they LA Galaxy couldn't do it. They didn't create chances. I agree with Brian. I thought they played slow sometimes. They played predictable. Sebastian Leggett was one of the only guys who I really thought was any good. Oh, good, we got a caller. Yes, callers who's going to agree with me. All right, 310. Who's this? Hello, 310. Are you there? Oh, Cory.
So disappointing.
I was sad.
I was ready.
I was very ready to go. All right. Well,
we also need to correct ourselves a little bit. We talked about a De Jong for Husidic swap when it was actually Leggett who came off for Baggio.
Okay, and De Jong eventually came out
for Laurent, which is pretty much a like for like switch there.
That's a like for like.
But
why would you take Leggett out?
I have to retract my statement because bringing Husidic on for Leggett is in fact a very negative sub.
Okay, let me see.
That is, and similar to what Brian said on the phone. That's something, in my opinion, where that's somebody that's a little bit more positional in value rather than attacking in value. Although he did bring on Gordo for Boateng to put in between his 2 strikers.
All right, let's see. I'm going to try again. 310. Are you there? No, we're striking out. It's Skype has not been very friendly as of late, Cory, and because of that, I've been very sad with how everything's been going. So I don't know why in particular it doesn't like me.
Sad, Josh.
No, I just, it's like I want to get callers in here. I want to do this. This is the whole point of it. And Skype has been very disappointing lately. So I'm going to try one more time. It says add the call. I know how to add calls. I know how to merge calls. I know how to do all these things. And it just doesn't seem like it wants to work. 310, are you there? 310, are you there? Any chance at all? It shows that it's here. It just doesn't want to do it. Hey, it is. I can't fix all the problems, Cory. I can't fix all the problems all the time. All right.
Then what do we keep you around for?
Quite honestly, I have no idea at this point anymore. All right, so I apologize if you can't get through. It's something to do with Skype, and it doesn't like me, so we have had those issues. All right, so let's go to Michael from Paramount. Michael has about a 2-minute message. Maybe we'll cut it a little short here, but here's Michael's take on the game.
Hey, guys, this is Michael from Paramount. Like any other Galaxy fan, I'm obviously pissed off about the game. There wasn't any positives. The only, I guess, positive was Mike McGee's goal, or even Robbie Rogers' nutmeg on Piatti. It's pretty cool, but that actually leads me to my first point. With Robbie, I feel like he sometimes does too much. Even Kobe Jones said it. You see Leggett and Robbie just doing these extra cuts that are unnecessary. But sometimes it's just a simple trap and pass, like Kobe said. And I agree 100%. A lot of times Robbie will have his man beat and can just get the cross in, and then he decides to cut again. And then oftentimes that leads to the ball going over the end line, or he loses the pass lane or whatnot. So that was one thing. I would like to see Robbie just simplify his game a little bit sometimes. My other complaint, obviously, would actually come about Steres. To me, I would start AJ over him 9 times out of 10. The only time I'm starting Steres is when you need that extra height for aerial battles, when you're going up against players like Kai Kamara or something. But
all right, so we'll stop it there. It goes on for a little bit, but the Steres and the height this is the argument, Cory.
Well, you mean somebody like Didier Drogba?
There you go. That's the argument. And by the way, Steres did a fairly good job on Drogba, but you should also remember that Dave Romney put Didier Drogba in his pocket, along with Omar Gonzalez, and Omar Gonzalez's best game as an LA Galaxy player last year was against Montreal, where they just shut Montreal down, and the Montreal was coming in with a ton of steam whenever it happened too, so it was interesting to see that happen. All right, so let's see. I thank you guys both for your calls. Remember, you can always call into the COG hotline. You should just put it into your phone, so that way you can leave a message after a game. When you get mad, these guys weren't prompted. I didn't tell them to call. They just know the number, so they call it. 949-385-2641 is what you want to do. All right, special announcements. Get some COG magnets. We have Corner of the Galaxy magnets in here. You should have some. They're on our store, cornerofthegalaxy.com. Go ahead and do that. And then, everything should be fine. So please, go get some COG magnets. Go to our shop, and we'll see how everything goes. So please do that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's sort of special. Obviously, we do a YouTube live stream, which is how people are calling in, or at least attempting to call in, I should say. So please, you can head on over to that if you go to cornerofthegalaxy.com/live. That's where you can find our show schedule, the stream, everything else in between. So between all that stuff, that's sort of where we sit with special announcements. Now, LA Galaxy team news. There's a whole bunch of stuff to go over here, Cory. We have about 17, 18 minutes left in the show. So I want to roll through some of this LA Galaxy team news real quick, but some of the most important stuff is that LA Galaxy 2 are back on the winning streak. They won 4-1 over Arizona United. This was a game that was played at StubHub Center at the Track and Field Stadium. Jack McBean and Ryo Fuji both scored 2 goals each, and they were both named to the USL Team of the Week. If you're keeping track of Jack McBean, who has been scoring goals left and right all season, he now has 11 goals. That's 11 goals in USL, and he leads USL in scoring right now. And if you add it to his preseason goals, Cory, and he had 9 in the preseason, he has 20 goals so far in 2016. Still seems to be real strong with that and everything else that's going on with that. So that's good news.
Galaxy 2 lead the USL in goals scored.
They do.
Let's see, they're averaging over 2 goals a game. So it's certainly something when you go out there, you're going to get a little bit of a show.
Yeah, you are. And currently, LA Galaxy 2 sitting in second place in the Western Conference of the USL. Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2, who's only played 10 games, has more points than them. They have 2 more points, and the LA Galaxy 2 have played 12 games. So if you're looking at
this table grows longer and longer every year.
This is just the Western Conference. You know?
I know.
It's like the Eastern. There's a whole bunch of teams. There's a lot of teams. So lots of stuff there. In other fun LA Galaxy news, Cory, we don't always get to talk about stuff like this, but this one's fun. I don't know why. I would hope that we get more LA Galaxy news about houses that they buy and things that happen. Because Nigel de Jong just bought a $4.3 million house in Encino. It's some 7,000 square feet of interior space and includes formal living and dining rooms, a home theater, a library, a media room, a wine cellar, 5 bedrooms, and 6.5 baths. It's got vaulted ceilings, hardwood and travertine floors, wainscoting, and fireplaces highlight the interior details. There's Nigel de Jong's 7,000 square foot cottage in Encino.
Does he know it's in Encino?
It's a little far away from StubHub Center. Apparently where it's at, and somebody theorized about why he would buy something in this particular location, is because he's not too far away, just over the hill from Bel Air and Beverly Hills and some of the richer places. And that I didn't know this. I don't know this is 100% true, but I believe it. Is that Nigel also has a car import business where he takes high-end cars and he imports them into Europe, or he sells them in Europe, or he takes American muscle cars and brings them and sells them into Europe. And so this was theorized that all this sort of had something. It was a good base of operations for him whenever he's just, down the street from Bel Air or Beverly Hills and not too far. But it's I think somebody said it's 35 miles from StubHub Center. So maybe Nigel just gets a helicopter like Jurgen. I don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? I mean, that's what you can only do. But still,
I mean, if training's like at 9 o'clock,
right?
He's got to leave at 6.
You got to miss traffic. It's not going to be good.
So are you telling me we're going to get like a Fast and the Furious reboot with Nigel de Jong, Fast and the Furious Europe, or what's going on?
That absolutely makes 100% sense.
The Autobahn?
I think you may have just pitched a movie to somebody. If we have any Hollywood execs, I think you just hit a home run with that one. So yeah, very well could. Let's go to rumors. This one's fun, Cory. Galatasaray are interested in Gyasi Zardes. There's no real big reports out there, but there was at least something that came across at some place. And the real question is, if this is true,
anytime somebody gets 2 international goals, they're gonna all of a sudden people are going to start watching, as if these teams don't have scouts other than just watching SportsCenter highlights.
No, I mean, I agree that it seems a little far. We've seen Gyasi Zardes rumors happen before, and nothing really happens. So I'm going to ask you, though, Cory.
This has to be the biggest. This is the biggest club he's rumored to get to, though.
Let's see.
Before we've seen like some English.
Yep. Some lower, like championship
clubs.
Yep. Uh-huh.
We've seen a couple Belgian clubs.
Yep.
I believe.
Yep. I think Genk, right, was one of them. That was
right.
one of them.
I don't think Galatasaray had a particularly good season last year, but they're a team that traditionally is playing in Europa League and Champions League.
All right. Let's see. If we keep going. So my question to you, Cory, is: does this make sense for Gyasi Zardes to go right now? Is this now the time, or do we think we're happy that Gyasi Zardes, who now makes TAM, he's making TAM money? They're using their targeted allocation money to put him in another level as far as salary. He got a huge bump up from last year, according to the 2015-2016 numbers. So is it time for Gyasi Zardes, who's now making $472,000, up from $223,000 last year? Is it time for Gyasi Zardes to move on?
I would say that he could wait out the fate of Robbie Keane to decide if it is he needs to sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk with the Galaxy to talk about long-term plans.
Well, but you're not going to pay him designated player money, right? I mean, you can't pay Gyasi Zardes designated player money. Listen, I love Gyasi Zardes. He's great. He's a local talent. He's great for the homegrown, but nobody buys tickets to see Gyasi Zardes.
I would say in a lot of other clubs, you could possibly pay him designated player money, but for the LA Galaxy and the type of designated players that they are accustomed to bringing in and playing, that he would not qualify.
I'd see, and yes,
I don't know. You talk with Kevin Baxter way more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some sort of thing where Nigel de Jong has already called dibs on designated player spot, or how does that work?
Yeah, it looks that way. Nigel de Jong, I think, has to play 24 games in order to qualify himself for a designated player spot. And so he's basically going to take Steven Gerrard's designated player spot. And with that happening, then that.
And when is Keane's contract up?
Keane's contract apparently is up at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, and so then they have to decide, do they bring him back for another year, another 2 years? Do they go out and look at somebody like a Cristiano Ronaldo in a couple of years, or is there always going to be somebody else that the Galaxy are going to have their eyes on in terms of a target striker that he kind of fits into the plans, but you're really kind of shoehorning him into positions and situations where he's not going to be the main focus? If he feels like that's the case and he can go and get a 200, 300, 400% pay increase elsewhere,
right?
With the opportunity to play for a team, such as Galatasaray, who could potentially make a Champions League or a Europa League run. Yeah,
I know. It kind of makes, again, Jared always says, and we go back to this all the time. I know you and I have talked about it too, Cory, is you sell high on him. So if he's ready to go, right? If this is the point, I mean, you're kind of hitting an apex. He's going to play in Copa Centenario. He's going to go play there. If he plays well, if he does well, if he scores some goals, he does some things, your price went up, and you can sell him for a pretty reasonable price now, and you probably get all the money that you wanted.
What is he, 25, 26, 27?
Yeah.
He came in a little later.
He came in a little later. I'd have to look at his age. I don't know it off the top of my head. I usually do, which is surprising. All right, we'll take a look at that here in a little bit. Omar Gonzalez, this isn't really LA Galaxy news, except that Omar Gonzalez had played with the LA Galaxy last year, and the LA Galaxy let him go to play with Pachuca down in Liga MX. He has just won the Clausura title with Pachuca. He started all 23 games with his new club, so congrats to Omar Gonzalez for winning a championship there with Pachuca. And
Did he keep his clothes on?
He did, and there was no sexy sax man, so that didn't happen. He did do the running man, though.
I did see that
on TV, so if you saw that. So, listen, it's good. Everybody's saying the LA Galaxy should have kept Omar Gonzalez. Listen, there's a side of me that says, hey, you know what, you're not wrong, because he probably wasn't going to play as bad as he did last year again. It's just hard for him to do because he is a better player. But he's gotten a new lease on life. Down in Liga MX, and whatever motivation he needed, he seems to have gotten it, and is playing very well. So I don't think you can say you keep him, and he does as good as he did down in Liga MX. So that's good news. All right, U.S. Open Cup is just around the corner, Cory. That's right, the exciting tournament, the United States' oldest tournament, the most democratic tournament. Anybody can get in, anybody can play. Amateur teams, sure, no problems. There's actually 2 amateur teams, and the LA Galaxy will get to play the winner of one of them. So that actually ensures that an amateur team is going into this latest round. But if you want to, you can actually see these 2 teams play. LA Wolves FC at La Maquina at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. They're playing at Westminster High School in Westminster, California.
Maquina.
La Maquina.
No.
La Maquina.
I don't know. You don't have the.
I don't have the syllable, the accento in the right syllable.
La Maquina.
Maquina. It's machine. I get
That's
it.
Right.
I know what it is. I as Jared would say, I'm pigmentally challenged. So the LA Wolves, those 2 teams will play on Wednesday night at Westminster High School in Westminster, California.
That's where the Galaxy will play the winner as
no,
well?
No, my guess is that they'll probably end up playing at StubHub. So whoever wins
I want to see them playing at a high school field somewhere.
That could happen. You never know. Maybe it'll be
Lose the coin flip.
Throw it back to the old days and go to the Cal State Fullerton days. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I covered a few games there myself.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. All right, we're gonna try one more time. 3-1-0. Can you hear me? No. See, it shows that they're there, Cory. It just doesn't like it. So
yeah,
I don't
Skype's
know.
having some issues tonight.
Yeah,
our favorite.
I apologize. The phones aren't working, so we'll work on it for next show and see if we can fix Skype. So that way it'll actually let people join in on our calls, because that's why we want to do this. And there's been so many calls tonight. There's been 4 or 5 calls, people trying to get in. I feel horrible about it, but we'll try to fix it and we'll move on. Robbie Keane injured again, Cory. I don't know. Like, every time he goes away to play for Ireland, he gets injured. And so he was still named to the Ireland team, by the way, which was not 100% for sure thing. But he is their captain. I'm pretty sure they wanted him there. So they imagined that whatever this calf injury is, it's a calf injury. Whatever it is, it's not very serious. And so he was named to the 23-man Ireland roster.
Calves don't scare me as much as hamstrings or knees or some other things.
I agree. It's not as bad, but it's little knock here, little knock there, little knock here, little knock there. It's building up.
We don't care about Ireland. We just want
Robbie Keane back.
Come home healthy.
Yeah, that's all that matters. So whenever you're seeing that, and whenever you're understanding that's what it is. But
apologies to all my Irish friends out there. Is that Wendy too?
I don't know if Wendy's Irish or not. She likes Robbie Keane.
God, I sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to ask Wendy what her background is. But anyway, so Robbie Keane, I have to imagine, and I said this on Twitter, I have to imagine this is Robbie Keane's last international tournament. I don't see how. I mean, he's 35 years old. He keeps picking up injury after injury, Cory. Is
he 35?
Yeah, he's 35.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, I don't see it going on. So this is his last international tournament. So Robbie, go out there, give it your all, because I think this is it. I think he retires from international football after this. And if he doesn't, I understand it. That's fine. People said that they think that there's not a lot of pressure of somebody replacing him. He's already a sub coming off the bench. I just don't know how much longer he can go. And that goes for the LA Galaxy too. You're going to get diminishing returns. I think we've already seen it this year that Robbie Keane is not the same Robbie Keane that was, 2-3 years ago.
And he's not being paid that way either.
No, he's not. He took a little bit of a pay cut, which was good, and that's great for the LA Galaxy. But at the same time, you're still depending on him as a designated player. I've always said this, and I said this again. I will say it one more time: is that it doesn't matter how much a designated player makes in money. That doesn't matter. It matters that they're taking up the spot. And so if you want them, then you want them to be able to take up that spot and use that spot to its fullest. If they're not using that spot to its fullest, then get them out and get somebody else in. It doesn't matter how much money you're paying them. They need to use that spot well. So anyway.
Yeah, but from a cost-benefit analysis, Robbie Keane is playing better than 70% of every other designated player that's been brought in.
Oh, yeah. Robbie Keane's
90 right now.
Robbie Keane is the, if you look over especially the course of his life.
The best foreign DP ever signed.
Ever. Yeah. It's not even close.
Do you put him ahead of Landon?
As far as designated player, in the amount of time that Robbie Keane has had did that, there may be an argument for that. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. It would be interesting to see.
Would be. I mean, it's hard because if you include Landon's the entirety of his career,
right, yeah, then it doesn't match. But if you take it within
I mean, it's still close. I'd stay there 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or something. But
no, it would be very interesting for sure. So we'll see how that goes. All right, we got about 10 minutes left here in the show to go. MLS standings. I'm going to skip over all the other stuff that nobody really cares. Except that this is the one thing that you need to know that's very important is that the LA Galaxy play on Thursday, June 2nd, 7:30 p.m. against Sporting Kansas City. We're going to start talking about that game here in just a second. Their next game is Saturday, June 18th. There are 2 weeks off, basically, for Copa America that's being played. So no games that are going on at that time. I think LA Galaxy 2 is still playing, so if you're missing some soccer, you should probably look at LA Galaxy 2 and see how they're doing. But Saturday, June 18th is the next game the LA Galaxy play at Toronto FC up in BMO Field, which should be a really fun atmosphere to take a look at. So that's sort of where they sit as far as scheduling goes. All right. MLS standings, the LA Galaxy didn't pick up any points. Actually, the Western Conference didn't do that well this last weekend, so nothing didn't really hurt anybody too bad. The leader in the Western Conference is still the Colorado Rapids at 2 points per game. They have 28 points, having played 14 games. They're 6-0-1 at home. That's really where they've been great. And remember, the LA Galaxy were 30 seconds, 10 seconds away from tying that game with Colorado. So when you're looking at sort of where the LA Galaxy stack up right now, they understand all the teams around them. FC Dallas is at 27 points, having played 15 games. Vancouver Whitecaps, 21 points, 15 games played. Real Salt Lake, 20 points, 12 games played. And the LA Galaxy also on 20 points, along with San Jose on 20 points. But San Jose has played 13 games instead of the LA Galaxy's 12 games. That's sort of where it is. Houston Dynamo are in the basement. 9th is Seattle. 8th is Portland. 7th is Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City coming into StubHub Center on Thursday. Colorado Rapids still lead Supporter Shield by
Seattle's a tire fire right now.
Oh, it's great. I enjoy every minute of it. Yeah. Well, you don't trade your best player, even to China, for $1 bazillion, and then expect your team not to be hurt. And yes, Obafemi Martins was their best player. Clint Dempsey played off of Obafemi Martins really well. But I would still say that Martins was the better player of the two. So
I don't think there's any doubt of that now, no.
They all know. They know. The LA Galaxy will take on Sporting Kansas City Thursday, June 2nd, 2016, 7:30 p.m. It's a Thursday night game, which means traffic. All right, traffic. I'm excited.
Leave at
traffic.
2:30.
Yeah, listen, I complain about it, but Thursdays are the worst day for traffic. It's tough to get up there. The game's at least at 7:30 and not at 7. 7's almost impossible. 7:30 at least is reasonable. Get there as soon as you can. Parking's going to be a pain because everybody gets there at the same time. Everybody take deep breaths, calm voices on the way in, and then get in there to see the LA Galaxy take on Sporting Kansas City. And Sporting Kansas City is struggling so much right now that I think if you're the LA Galaxy, you're jumping up and down on a chance to play them. SKC, Sporting Kansas City, has won just once in 10 games, Cory, and has picked up just 5 points during that stretch. So they're averaging half a point a game in the last 10 games. They are struggling.
They're bad.
They are really bad. And the LA Galaxy, I said this. I said, hey, be careful about unbeaten in 9 because it can quickly be, let's see, winless in 3, right? Which is basically what has happened. The LA Galaxy, after being unbeaten in 9 games.
So we blame you, huh?
Yeah, it is. After being unbeaten in 9 games, are now winless in 3. It's not horrible. It's not like this huge slide. There's 1 loss in there and 2 draws, right? It's not the end of the world, but it's winless in 3. The LA Galaxy hosting Sporting Kansas City. This is a game they have to win. And they drop points, at home the weekend before. They drop points on the road when they should have at least gotten a point. So they've dropped, 4 points in the last 2 games, basically, that they should have had. And now they have to pick up 3 points against Sporting Kansas City. There's really no option, and SKC has been struggling. So Sporting Kansas.
The last time these two played was the Ashley Cole red card.
Yes, the 2 yellows in like 30 seconds. Yes, that's it. It was a 1-1 draw, if you remember. So a 1-1 draw, that was back on May 1st, 2016 in Kansas City. Sporting KC just lost at home to DC United in the Friday night game that saw rain and lightning, and they pushed the game back, and then the game got delayed at halftime and all sorts of fun stuff. And then DC United scored in the 86th minute to win that game at Sporting Park there, or Children's Mercy Park, I think is what the name of it is now. So all of those things are interesting and all that stuff. I don't really know what you want to get from this game. Sporting Kansas City
from the last game,
yeah,
or from the upcoming game.
From the upcoming game. What do you want?
Okay,
what do
you can't
need?
learn anything from a game that's delayed 12 times with sleet and rain and all of that. And I think you look at some of the lineups that Sporting Kansas City has chosen to run out. They're kind of throwing everything against the wall and see if anything sticks. They've got new back lines. They've got people in the midfield coming in and out. They're really struggling right now and trying to find a mixture of some players that can lead to better results.
No, I mean, I agree. I think that's sort of what they have. I've seen a lot of Sporting fans that are very disappointed in the 4-3-3 and exactly what's been happening with it. So I think that, they're trying to figure stuff out. They're in a slide. They probably are praying to God that they get into this 2-week break as soon as possible and that the LA Galaxy can possibly, maybe they can steal a point from the LA Galaxy at StubHub Center because, the slide here is, it's funny. Whenever you're winning, you never want to get to a break because you're afraid it's going to ruin your momentum. And when you're losing or you're not playing well, like Sporting Kansas City is doing, then you see
limping to the finish line.
Yeah, they can't wait for this 2-week break. So, I mean, I think if you're the Galaxy, a Thursday night game, granted, Sporting Kansas City had a couple days extra to rest because they played on a Friday night instead of the Saturday that I guess is only a day. The Saturday that the Galaxy played in Montreal, then that's something. But Sporting Kansas City has to travel. They have good players. This is like sort of that thing where you look at it and you go, wait, these guys are actually probably pretty good. I mean, Dom Dwyer's there. You have Brad Davis. There's some other guys in here that can still play.
It's their back line, though.
It hasn't been good.
They've got some of their stalwarts didn't even start last game in terms of Chance Myers and Seth Sinovich. They're two outside fullbacks. They went with two different guys in Abdul Salam and Madranda. They're really, and then Aiko Para, who's always been very talented, but has been either injury prone or mistake prone at different times. And then alongside Kevin Ellis, they've had a lot of turnover. They've sold some players. They've traded a few guys that have gotten away. So that in terms of their back line, they're really trying to find a combination of people back there that are going to provide a little bit more stability.
Well, we got updated by the chat room. They say Jossie's artist is 24 and he'll turn 25 in September. So not young, by the way. Just want to throw that out. He could be ripe to go, Cory. It might be that time.
That's typically entering a prime.
Is it weird to you? And I'm looking back at the Sporting Kansas City game, and I'm looking at when they played DC United that Benny Feilhaber is coming in at halftime for this team and isn't starting. I mean, doesn't it make the most sense that Benny Feilhaber, who I think is one of the most dynamic players they probably have besides outside of Dom Dwyer, is not starting? And for whatever reason, maybe I don't know my Sporting Kansas City as well as I think I do, which I don't. I'll tell you that right now. It's just interesting. I just don't. There's a lot of players on this Sporting KC team who I think could do damage against the LA Galaxy. But you look at the talent the LA Galaxy will put out on Thursday night, and this is a 3-point win. The LA Galaxy have to win. It's at home. They've dropped some points. This is a game that they have to rectify everything before going on break for 2 weeks.
I mean, in some cases, your guys just aren't going to play every single game of a 34 game schedule.
Right.
And so, in some cases, you're just going to give people either the night off or at least half a night off. I mean, they brought him in at halftime, so they obviously, maybe we're hoping for a little bit more from somebody like Quintanilla who played the first half in his stead. But
right.
I'd have to imagine, unless they're going to come in and just try and play for a point, or Vermes is going to try and put multiple guys behind the ball, and he doesn't think that Feilhaber necessarily provides that sort of teeth. He's obviously a lot more dynamic in attack. But unless he's just going to kind of pack it in and play a little bit more compact and just try and counterattack with Dwyer up top, I think that he is the best player for them, but maybe he has something else in mind in terms of the approach that he's going to take in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, that game is at 7:30 p.m. on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet, Time Warner Cable Deportes. If you can't make it to the stadium, I suggest you do go to the stadium.
Just when you download this podcast, just start driving as soon as you hear us talking about it now, because it's going to take you that long to get there.
Ready, go. All right. LA Galaxy 5-2-5, 20 points. Sporting Kansas City 5-8-2, 17 points. There's a difference of 3 games played. Sporting KC has played 3 more games than the LA Galaxy. The points per game 1.67 to 1.13. Again, this is a game the LA Galaxy should win, and if they don't win, we're going to have a lot more to talk about because, quite honestly, there's something wrong with this team if they can't pull off this Sporting Kansas City team. This is the kill shot. They need to go in. They need to step on their throats. They need to jam 4 goals in the back of the net. They need to not let them score, and they need to get out of town and take a nice 2-week break on that high and not sit there and wonder why, we dropped more points at home. That can't happen. I think that would be a bad start to the summer for the LA Galaxy. All right, Cory, do you have a prediction real quick?
I'm going to go with a 3-1 Galaxy victory.
3-1 Galaxy victory, and the LA Galaxy continue to not get shutouts, according to Cory Ritzau. I think AJ De La Garza starts somewhere on defense, and the LA Galaxy actually hang a 0 behind themselves and win this game 4-0.
And give a 90-minute performance?
A full 90 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. 90 minutes of concentration. If Bruce needs me to go in and be the halftime talk or the pregame talk, I'll be waiting by the phone, Bruce. Talk to Chris Glidden. He has my phone number. We can work this out. I will come in and I will give this speech because...
If you get called in, let me know so I can go wager on SKC.
Yeah, no problem. So that would be a horrible idea, Bruce. Don't ever think about doing that. All right, Cory, tell people where they can find you. We'll get on out of here.
Find me on Twitter at Cory Ritzau, CoryRitzau.
All right, and if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and the at Galaxy Podcast is where you can find us as well. Go to cornerofthegalaxy.com where we have magnets for sale. I'm going to be running in the Cosmo 5K. I'll be running / walking because I'm out of shape, and that won't be pretty. So you can join me out there as well for that. Lots of fun stuff. I'll see you guys out there on Thursday as well. LA Galaxy taking on Sporting Kansas City Thursday, June 2nd, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time. All right, for Mr. Cory Ritzau, I'm Josh Guesman, and you've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.